Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Encouragement Advantage Masterclass. We're going to be talking about how to fuel others with your words. And maybe that's your workplace. That's where you have a level of influence or authority. Or maybe it's just your home life. Maybe you're trying to bring energy. Maybe you're trying to bring motivation or some hope to those closest to you. We're going to go through that in this training today. Now, this is a kick-starting session, so if you care about the idea of encouragement, this session is actually going to put you in a little bit of a position of doing something with this knowledge. I've been on so many calls, I've read so many books, podcasts, conferences, where we've learned ideas and then never done anything with them. So I want to give you a little bit of a disclaimer or a warning. There is activation ahead. Listening alone will not change your life. If you want to put this tool, this skill, this leadership component into play in your life, we're going to actually exercise that on the call today. And if you're watching the replay, you can follow along as well, because this is going to be the launch into a new habit, a new, hopefully, lifestyle for you of being a catalytic encourager. So we're going to start today. I see some people joining in. Thanks for coming live. Training overview. We are going to talk about the impact of encouragement, first of all, because some people have this notion that you don't need to be an encourager. People should just pull up their own bootstraps and soldier on. What is the impact if we choose to start being more encouraging? We do have a practical framework we're going to go through as well, because many people, they understand and value the idea of encouragement, but they've never been practically trained. We're going to go into practice as well, and I'm going to end with 2 challenges that I want to invite you to choose between, because this can be, if you choose, the start of something so much bigger. Let's just zoom out for a second here. I'm going to let a few more people into the room. Thank you for your patience. All right. So just to zoom out for a second, who am I and what are we doing here? The Greatness Incubator is the brand or the business behind this call and the challenge that you'll hear a little bit about. For me, my idea, my vision is that businesses can be so much more than just places of employment. They can be places where people can be equipped and activated and can grow in confidence. And that's going to help build your business, period. But also, we know that people may leave us at some point. They may go on, their life changes, maybe they have children and shift, or maybe they move. But we can be a place that thrives, a place that launches them into greater opportunities with us and in life. And same for families. So the business is called the Greatness Incubator. And my hope is that you look at your own sphere of influence as a greatness incubator as well. That you have authority over a sphere, over an area, and how can you create an environment where people rise up? And we're talking about the skills, one of the skills that we do that with. So helping businesses improve team performance. We also want to figure out through my business, how do we attract and retain great people? This skill today will touch on that as well. Accountability, ownership. We want to develop people and we want to scale beyond founder or leader dependency. People who feel like, why do I always have to be the one to do this? The skill of encouragement is going to touch on many of these things today. We are covering something from what I call the Culture Builders Toolkit, because we want to understand and own the morale, the experience, the environment that we create. It's our responsibility. If your people have low morale, that's because of the environment you've created for them. And we need to decide, how are we going to use the right tools to build a powerful environment for them to live and work and thrive in. So there's 7 tools that I cover. And this one is specifically taking a page out of the Celebration Culture Building Toolkit. So if we celebrate things, we reaffirm and we reinforce, and we also fuel people. This is also an important call here, because this is the formal launch of what I'm calling the Encouragement Rampage Challenge. This extends beyond this call, and we'll talk about it later at the end. But if you're following in the replay, this is also going to be a great kickstarting training for this habit and this discipline. We need to make it a habit. And a little aside here, any leadership skill or idea, it needs to become a habit for it to have impact. So I want to start with a reflective question here. We're going to go back and just think in our past. We're talking about the idea of encouragement. What is the most impactful word of encouragement you've ever received? I just want you to think for a moment, times where you were in a low, times where you were struggling or you didn't know which way to turn. Think of that moment and who came into that moment. Maybe it was a boss. Maybe it was a friend, someone who just pierced the darkness, the confusion, the discouragement with a single word. Maybe you have that in mind. For me, I think back to my neighbor. His name was Jim Vincent, and he was a bit of a surrogate grandfather to me. Both sets of grandparents were not super present in my life, but this neighbor, this elderly neighbor, he came to Grandparents' Day. He had a Christmas Eve dinner with us almost every year. They were a part of our lives, and they were a huge part of my childhood and my upbringing. And I remember when I was in my late teens, and Jim was on his deathbed. We went to the hospital to visit him one last time, and I remember him grabbing my hand. He was frail and weak. He grabbed my hand firmly, and he looked me in the eyes and he said, "Will, you're a good man." That was the last thing he ever said to me. You're a good man. But decades later, I still remember that word. There's something about how that word just lodged its way inside of my heart. And it caused me from that day forward to stand up a little bit straighter. There was a straightening of the spine. There was a bit of courage and hope. I was longing for affirmation at that stage of my life. And just a simple word brought fuel. It brought courage to me. I want you to treasure those words and soak on those words if you have one come to mind. But we think of these people, Jim, who was an encourager. But we want to take that mantle on ourselves, that responsibility. I am an encourager. And for those who are watching, whether live or replay, let's just start with an assessment. Where are we at today? People would describe me as an encourager. Other people, would they say this about me? 0, never. I'm definitely not. I'm a discourager. 10, yes, that's how they know me. Where are you on that scale? Just take a moment to reflect. Am I known as an encourager? No shame. This is just identifying where we're at on the journey. If you're live, feel free. I know some of you have responded previously. You can drop that in the chat. Even reflecting, if there's a replay comment section, reflecting in this moment, where are you at? I'd love to hear your journey as well. But encouragement is fuel. And that's the idea I want you to take away, especially for those who are in business and they need to understand, Will, what is the ROI? Return of investment. I need to know that I can make money. I need to I can grow people. I hope that you have a lovely heart that just cares so much about people. But if not, we can work with that too. There is still a value in encouragement. It fuels people. And people on your team, if you've got a business, if you've got a nonprofit, if you've got an agency, people on your team are wondering, am I doing a good job? Does anyone notice? Am I making a difference? Should I keep going? People have these questions, and sometimes we all run out of steam a little bit. And you as a leader, as a person of influence, or as a parent, you have the ability to fuel people with the right word at the right time. The word encouragement itself It literally means, if we break it down, en means into or to put into, and courage means strength, excellence, or bravery. And so we have this idea of strengthening someone else with our words, to strengthen others' spirit. Your team needs strength to execute, to do those hard things, to overcome challenges. And we need to figure out how we can grow in this high impact skill of encouragement. Encouragement is leadership. A title will give you authority. You might have this badge that says, I'm the boss, or I'm the father, do what I say. You have a place of authority, but it's the relational equity that builds up influence. And so we want to understand this idea of relational equity and positional authority as we dive into the practical training, because some of you've been exerting your authority and getting frustrated when results aren't moving forward. Why don't they just do it? But people are running on fumes. They're running on empty. They need fuel. And as we invest in becoming an encourager, we're putting money into that bank account of relational equity. Relational equity. We build up this trust. We build up this relationship. And when we have hard conversations, when we have moments where we need to ask for things or launch initiatives, people think, oh, Stephen, I like that Stephen guy. Yeah, let's go for it. We can do this. And they have this sense, they have this response to people where they drive themselves from the fuel that you've put inside of them. Here's some examples. Maybe you've got your own examples. I encourage you to screenshot or to save them just to remind yourself of the value of these words. This is an actual response someone gave me. Hey, Will, your message honestly made me tear up a bit. Thank you for taking the time to send it. It means a lot to know you're still cheering us on from afar. Fuel. Here's another message. This one surprised me a little bit because I was just trying to be generally encouraging. I just wanted to tell them they're awesome. I appreciate them. But they said here, thank you so much for your kind words. You have no idea how much it means to me. It makes me want to work even harder and give my absolute best. That wasn't my intent, but you can see here, it's like rocket fuel where all of a sudden a 1 minute word of encouragement lights a fire underneath someone and gets them re-engaged, where they might have been coasting or leaning back or just doing a generally good job, but they were fueled. This last example, before we transition to the framework and the training, this one is a little bit more unique. And this touches on a deeper, maybe even more mystical area. Again, we're leaving messages and encouraging people. Here's what this person had to say. Oh my gosh, Will. Triple exclamation mark. Quadruple exclamation mark. Oh my gosh, Will. This word is so timely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Will. More exclamation marks. I was actually praying for someone random to reach out with a word, and it was you. And you don't just hear God, you let him move you. Now, whatever your faith is, we need to realize that we have no idea where people are at. And sometimes there's people in our lives, friends, colleagues, employees, where they're going through a difficult moment. And some of these people are crying out, I need hope. I need encouragement. I need to know that everything's going to be okay, or that I'm seen or valued. And these moments where we leave encouragement, and we're going to do that today, they might get responses just like this. So how to encourage? That's the question here. Have you actually been trained on how to encourage someone? This is something I believe, I hope one day they teach in the school system, but we're going to do a demo and we're going to practice together. So we'll take moments. And again, for those on the replay, you're not off the hook. You can do along as we follow this exercise. So I'm going to show you 3 levels of encouragement. And these are levels of encouragement that have increasing impact in a person's life, if we want to get responses like the ones I showed you, we have to learn how do we format or structure or take some practical tips. Because good job, man. That's a very entry level of encouragement. Hey, you're awesome. My wife, she appreciates a little bit more detail when I encourage her than just, hey, I think you're a great wife. Why? So we'll go into that together. What we're going to cover is what I call the 3P framework. There are 3 levels, and we're going to go through each of them together. What we're going to do is I will give a demo, and I'll let you reflect and kind of see if you can spot any of the patterns, and then we'll talk about that level. We'll move on to the next. Between each level, you're also, if you have that opportunity, going to practice. And maybe you set this as a practice after if you're live and you can't do it in this moment. But let's dive in here. I'm going to set up my phone. Again, what do you notice? That's the goal. So I'm going to start off by giving an encouragement to a gentleman named Stanley. And I've got my phone here. I'll bring up on screen once I set it up. So this is the practice that I want to encourage you in. I call it encouragement bombing. We're just dropping encouraging messages on random people. So let's see if I can bring this up here. So this gentleman, for context, I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't have any business dealings, but I just had a thought that, man, this guy's doing a good job. I see his stuff on my Facebook feed all the time. So let's leave him some encouragement. So what I do, I got him up on Facebook Messenger. You can do text, voice drops, but I like voice because it leaves some encouragement. All right, so let's do this here. I'm going to hit record. Hey, Stanley, you don't know me, but I've been keeping my eye on you. My name's Will Winter. I've done stuff in the insurance space before, but I just want to send you some encouragement because I've seen your posts and I don't even need your service, but for me, there's something about what you're doing. There's an excellence in your posts, and I know the insurance space a little bit, and it really touches me to see the excellence and intentionality that you've poured into the content that you've been creating. So even though I haven't liked or commented, I just want to encourage you. It's creating a great message. It's encouraging people. It's setting a very high standard. And I want to say, keep up the great work. Okay, and what I like to do as well, I'm just going to leave a little message that says, hey, wanted to say thanks for what you're doing. Your posts are killer. And set. Okay, boom. So I like to leave a little bit of a text. I'm blurring it out just in case there's sensitive stuff. Maybe you can piece together who this might be if you're in that space. But I like to leave a little bit of a text as well so they don't think like, what am I about to listen to? Like, is this a weird message? I say, hey, I'm about to send you a message. So just reflect and think for a second. What did you notice about the type of encouragement? What words did I use, or what themes did I call out? I targeted something very specific. If you're live, you can comment in the chat. What did you notice about some of the tactics in that style of encouragement? I'll give you a moment to reflect. Let's go into that first level together. First level is performance. And we've got someone here, Karen, that says focused on his achievement and skill set. Dead on. So what we're doing is we're saying, I saw something you did. Great job. And this is the first level. This is what most people are familiar with. We applaud performance and highlight work completed in a specific area. Now, this is great because it does show appreciation for efforts. People say, hey, I really am I doing a good job? I need to know that. But the weakness is sometimes people will perform for approval, or they'll get burnt out, or maybe even as we talked about relational equity, it will be influenced or limited by this first level. If we're only ever encouraging performance, then there's a missed opportunity in that. Now, the lesson here is not to not do this level, but it's to show appreciation for a job well done. Just don't stop there. So what we're going to do in this moment is we're actually going to practice. If you're joining live or the replay, I'm going to set a timer and I want you to send a message. You're going to pick someone first when the timer starts, someone where you've noticed, like this guy Stanley, he had some good posts. I've been thinking that for weeks. Pick a person and you're going to do the exact process that I followed. Send them a voice memo and just focus on performance. You could start with something like, hey man, I was thinking about you and I noticed. You did a great job. And then text. So let's set that timer here together and I'll let you loose for that first level of encouragement. All right. "30 seconds. All right. Stop. Stop. How was that? Just take a moment to reflect. Did that feel uncomfortable? Did that feel challenging or awkward? That might be a great indication that there's a bit of practice needed still. Now, wherever you're at in the encouragement journey, this is about getting those reps in because we're trying to become more fluid, more natural, more even clear in our encouragement. You may get some great responses. People might message you back. Sometimes they don't. That's not the point. The point is releasing these messages that spur people on and stir people up. Let's go into the next encouraging message example here. This is level 2. We're going to take it up a notch. For this one, I've got a gentleman named Lucas. Lucas, I have not been a part of his life much lately. I've kind of gone in a different direction. I'm not a part of the same circles anymore. But there's something about this guy that I've just always felt really, really positive vibes around. Like, such a great guy, such a awesome dude. So we're going to send him a message as well. We're going to start with, again, the typical, hey man, I've been thinking about you. Let's see if we bring this up here. And listen, what clues or what types of encouragement am I giving? What words are landing? Hey, Lucas, I've been thinking about you lately. I know we've kept missing each other. Feels like ships in the night, but I keep thinking about you, and I just want to encourage you because there's so much good in you. Every time I think about you, I have a happy thought, and I feel like I can see where you're headed. I know you're in the weeds sometimes, and some things don't feel like they're working out, but you've got so much gold in you. The way you bring hope, the way you bring encouragement to people, the way that you bring excitement. And I just want to say, keep going, because there's such a bright future for you, and the impact that you're going to have wherever you end up is going to be massive. You're building the skills, you're building the resilience, you're growing your family, man. But you're doing a great job, and I just see so much impact ahead of you. So keep going, even if you feel discouraged. I love you, man, and I'm praying for you. Okay. And then we're going to send that message too. Hey, man, thinking about you. You are on the right track. Boom. And even just imagine, like, he's going to pick this up and listen to it today, maybe tomorrow. Just imagine how he's going to feel receiving those kinds of words, the people you're leaving messages to as well. So, reflection time. What did you notice about this level of encouragement? What was it that stuck out about what I spoke into or what I encouraged? Give some comments or even just reflect as you're trying to study in the replay. What did he do? All right, so let's go into level 2 here, potential. The first one was performance. What have they done in the past? Potential is where they're going in the future. Affirming who they're becoming, and they see their life as they continue down a specific path. I see you becoming an incredible whatever. You know, you could do this if you put your mind to it. If you keep showing up in these ways, man, you're going to do this in life. We're speaking into their potential. This level is super important because sometimes people are in the weeds of life and growth feels slow, like I alluded to on my message. It's unglamorous, it's invisible. And if we only ever talk about the past, what people have done, then sometimes they lose that vision that they need to keep going in the moment. They need that fire under them, or that attaboy, that encouragement that says, hey, this is worth it. There is a vision. There's something worth moving towards. This is your potential. Without vision, people drift, or as the Bible says, without a vision, the people perish. The people cast off restraint. They need a vision to say, okay, I'm staying the course. So what we're doing here is we're affirming faithfulness. We're reinforcing discipline in people. We need to keep up even when we don't see results sometimes. We help people stay engaged during long, drawn-out development seasons. And it teaches people that growth counts, not just arrival or results. Sometimes we affirm productivity too much, and we need to say, hey, here's where we're going. Here's where you're going as an individual. So it's important for new leaders, especially new hires or people who are in stretch seasons. like this gentleman that I left a message with. Some examples just to give more clarity here. I see leadership in you. You may be built for more responsibility than you realize. There's a teaching gift on your life. You have the capacity to build something significant. There's more in you than you realize. You're going places. That's what we're saying to them. So back to practice again, level 2. And you can see and even feel the impact of these types of words increasing. Maybe we'll blend them together in the future. Maybe after this call, you'll practice by weaving these words. They're all important. But in this practice, we're going to go back to just focusing on giving an encouragement about potential. So think of someone that you feel like, man, I just admire that guy. And the discipline, the resilience, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's your child. And I want you to send a voice message to that person focusing on the level 2 performance. Level 2 is potential. Where are they going? Let's set up that timer again, and I'll let you loose. "30 seconds. There we go, and that's time. So reflect on that for a moment. What did that feel like? Was that a little bit more challenging, maybe? Was that easy? Did you have someone who came to mind right away? Part of what we're trying to do is develop a habit or even a reflex that good things come to mind easily and we're quick to say something. We don't just forget to say something or let it drag on, but we become the kind of person who we're given encouragement left, right, and center. We're fueling people, not as a shallow, empty habit, but as a catalytic powerful tool that lights people up and lets them find that hope and courage they need. What did you notice about this final level we're going to go into for a second here? One more example. Again, notice things. We're trying to pay attention and draw out learning. So what are you going to notice about this next encouragement? Level 3. This is where it really gets to the depths of someone. I've got a person, I haven't talked to her in years, but when I was 18 or 19, she led a moment at a Bible study that I've never forgotten. And so I'll describe it in the voice memo, but this is someone who, just a single thing that they did, they don't realize. Maybe I haven't told them before what a big deal that means to them. So we're going to get up our phone again. What's fun as well is that these people, they don't sometimes see it coming. And so when they get this bomb dropped on them, this encouragement bomb, it just, wow, man, that's what I needed to hear. Those are the types of messages that change maybe even people's lives, if not just their day. So let's go here. Pay attention what themes, what words are ideas. Starting with the, hey, I was thinking about you. And we're going to call out specific things too. So, hey, Brianne, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I've been thinking about you lately. I hope you're doing well, but I just wanted to share some encouragement because when I think about you, there's a memory that comes to mind. And it was at Good Earth Cafe, there's a Bible study, and for the first time ever, someone, you asked me to pray in front of a group of people. And that was frightening for me. I actually survived. I'm still alive, but it lit something up inside of me, and it brought me a level of activation or doing something with my faith that had been so private and so locked away. But something about what you did in that moment, I'm still looking back. That's like 15 years ago, and I still remember that. You are someone that brings, you bring life to people. You are someone that inspires people to become more than they were before you. You unlock people's lives, and that's what you've done for me. So I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what you're up to now, but I just want to encourage you because that's who I see you as. And I know and I assume you're still making that difference everywhere you go. You are a difference maker. And so if you're feeling low, if you're feeling in the dumps, or if you're feeling high, just remember you made a difference in my life because you are a difference maker. Thank you so much for that moment, that single moment 10, 15 years ago. I appreciate you a ton. You came to mind. Just wanted you to know how much of a difference you made in my life. Boom. Again, just imagine the impact of this person out of the blue. Who knows what she's going through? But what did you notice about this type of encouragement? What were some of the patterns or notes that you said, hey, that made it a good word, or that made it different than the other two levels? I'll give you a second to just reflect. I had a memory, a practical thing I shared, but what was the theme or tone of the word? This is the highest level of impact, and we want all three levels. But what we're doing here is speaking to personhood. I used phrases like, you are a difference maker. You are a person who unlocks others. And it's not about what they did in the past. It's not about, well, I used an example, but the affirmation is not about the past or the present. It's about the past or the future. It's about the present. Who are you today? It's not about how much you produce or perform. It's about your identity, your value, your character, your presence, how you show up. Who are you as an individual, Brianne? That's what I spoke to in this word. Now, this is super important as we consider building teams, building our families, building our friendships, that we live out of our identities. And I get on this little rampage. I've got a 16-month-old boy, Samuel. And people will always like, oh, Samuel, oh, like, give us a smile. And then he'll kind of turn away from them. And they'll say, oh, he's shy. And some people who are watching this, you've had that spoken over you your whole life. And then you show up later in life and you just, I'm shy. It's just who I am. And we live out of these identities. So don't you ever call my son shy. I'm being playful, but I am wanting us to be intentional with our words. Am I shy or am I outgoing? I'm not good with technology. How many older people have you heard say that? It's an identity statement. Or I pick things up easily. I'm a failure. I'm a winner. What are these identities that we start to own, these labels? And we live out of them. So be careful with the words that you speak over people and be intentional to speak identities that create the positive outcomes that we're looking for in life. Create safety and stability. It helps people know they're valued, not only for their usefulness with us. It reduces performance addiction. That's something that a few people were working through. Gives people a deeper anchor we can live out of and perform out of our identity, not some need for validation because we believe and we know that we're seen and accepted. Builds relational equity, back to the idea of filling up your relational equity bank account. And it helps, if we do need to have hard conversations, it helps correction land without people feeling erased or diminished or devalued. If people know that they are seen and accepted, we can have hard conversations and there can still be a trust bridge that exists between us and these individuals. Here's some more examples of statements that you might say. You have a calming effect on people, or you're a bringer of peace. I like to say things in fun ways. You are the kind of person who shows up. Your humility makes you easy to work with. There's a sincerity in you that people can feel. You are a person of integrity. They speak to identity and character, not merely achievement. And even think back to the first word I gave to this gentleman, Stanley. I was intentionally restraining myself. What I said is, you do excellent things. What I wanted to say is, you are a man of excellence. And you can see how that hits just a little bit deeper than saying, hey, good job on those social media posts. It's, you are the kind of person of excellence. That's what we want to get to, is this highest level where we're jamming identity and affirmation into the deepest parts of someone's being so it can light them up and let them loose in this world, in their tasks, in their obstacles. So we're going to practice. Again, you know the drill. Think of a person. Think of a characteristic or trait. And maybe you have to backtrack. Maybe you have to think, I saw them do something. What does that tell me about who they are? So we're going to pick one final person for this training today, and we're going to send that voice message drop. Hey, I'm thinking of you. This is what comes to mind. This is who you are. Maybe give an example as you leave that. I saw you do this. I shared a memory about Brianne. So you're going to share that with this individual as the final step here. Let's bring up that timer and let you loose. 30 seconds. And that's time. How was that? We're getting the reps in. We're getting the experience. We're becoming more fluid. Now, I like voice memos specifically. It might feel awkward. We got to push through that. That's a resistance that we need to overcome. My mom, she's doing the challenge, and she's like, "Can I give gifts?" And I said, "Yes, but the challenge is to give words." And so she's a real natural gift giver, and she wants to encourage people with that. But it's the muscle or the skill of seeing something and saying something. And we want to find the best avenue to make the biggest impact. I'm leaving 1.5 minute voice memos. That's it. And it's so powerful to see the responses. So if you've sent a text, that's a great step. I would encourage you keep working on that skill. In the future, you're going to weave these levels together. You're going to blend them and have words that it's not just about level 1, 2, 3. It's about words that make a difference, words that fuel and touch people. Here's those levels again as just a recap. Level 1, performance. We spot something they did. We call out performance, the past, what it was accomplished. Level 2 is potential. We look into the future and we give them a reminder of the vision of the future. Here's where you're going. This is what you could do. If you keep this up, man, that's going to be a huge result. Level 3, personhood. It's not about the past or the future. It's about speaking into their identity today and saying, this is who you are. And that fuels people in a way that the other two can't simply touch. We need the other two levels, but we want to make sure we're reaching the highest level of impact in those that we lead and those that we love. Important note as you set out on this lifestyle of being an encourager, it's not about manipulation. And while there may be times where you may pair encouragement with an ask, I often do this. But we're not trying to manipulate or flatter people to get a result. Now, there are results, keep that in mind, but what we're trying to do is become a person who naturally overflows encouragement so that people around us can thrive and flourish. And people have a BS radar. They know when something's fishy. So we need to really check ourselves as we continue this habit. Am I just trying to get my employees to work harder? Or do I genuinely see something that I appreciate and value? Be sincere or it will backfire. Now, some bonus tips here. You've seen me do this. Give evidence. Be specific. What did you see? Not just, hey, you're awesome. You're a great wife. You're a great employee manager. What about them is awesome? What did you see them do? That's what really helps encouragement to land and feel credible. The other part too, and you've seen, reflect on the final example with Brienne, what was the impact on me? What you did, it really touched me. This is how it changed my life. That's another way that we can really pack these words with a level of specificity and a level of illustration that brings life to these words. Last thought here as we wrap up to the challenge and the invitation. Great leaders build people, not just products or businesses. And if you are intent on building the people, they will build your business. But great leaders are the ones that are remembered, the ones who leave an impact on your lives, who set you up for more than you ever thought was possible. So here's the challenge. There's 2 challenges. I want you to pick one. And the first is kind of the easy off the bus. I just send one more. one more voice memo, one employee, actually two, one employee and one friend. Send a voice memo to one employee and one friend. I want to squeeze a little bit more encouragement out of you. That's it. And you'll never hear from me again. That's the invitation number one. Just do one more. One more. You're going to pick and you're going to follow these instructions and just get the reps in, get the practice. But for those who want to take this a little bit deeper, those who want to actually make this a lifestyle and not just a one-time training or video that you watched, we've got challenge 2. And some of you know where this is going. This is the Encouragement Rampage Challenge. This is really about building the repetition, the discipline. We've got this challenge tracker here, which is going to be a part of the challenge. A lot of the tips that you've heard me talk about today, they're on the back of the sheet. So you can print this off and remind yourself, it's not about filling out 100 people and saying you did it. It's about building a discipline and a habit. So if you're wanting to become more than just a casual encourager, if you want to be, as I've used before, a catalytic encourager, someone who lights fires and fuels people everywhere you go, the kind of boss that gets remembered, I want to invite you to this 30-day challenge. This will always be running. It's free to participate in. Use text messages, voice memos, send videos, calls, write cards or notes. You're going to track the names so that you can make sure that you're inventorying and kind of gamifying that process. Developing a muscle, that's what we're trying to do. Spotting things and saying things. It's a reflex that we need to develop. And this habit, if you choose to come on this journey with me, is going to transform your leadership. Watch as the response, the trust that's built, that's going to change. The team morale is going to boost. And becoming the kind of leader, growing as the kind of leader that others want to follow. Not just because you have a badge or a title, but because of the way that you show up. That's what this journey is all about. So here's the QR code. There is the link below as well. If you want to scan that, if you want to pause it and open the site, if you want to click the links below on the replay. But my encouragement to you, if you are crazy enough to go on this adventure, bring someone with you. You might say to your team, guys, let's do this together. Let's actually spark something in our team, jumpstart our culture. Maybe you pick your spouse and you say, man, we've been a little negative lately. We've been complaining a lot about stuff, and let's make a difference. Let's change things. I want to invite you to bring someone on this challenge with you. So you're going to sign up, you're going to fill in a form, and you're going to get this document. You're also going to get emails over the course of 30 days that give you different tips and different angles and considerations to keep prompting you. Hey, send that encouragement today. We're building a habit together. That's the training for today, but it doesn't need to be the end. This can be just the beginning. I'll just leave it back on this slide as we wrap up. This is the potential for you to start something new in your leadership and even in your life. What kind of a person do you want to become? Do you want to become someone who's stingy with their words and doesn't say much until people go over the moon for you? Or do you want to be the kind of person that is releasing encouragement and hope and fuel into every relationship, every interaction you go? Yes, there will be an ROI. Businesses, pay attention. This is going to change your workplace, but it's also about developing people. And that's the legacy that we can have. At the end of the day, we want to look back and say, man, what did I build that was significant? It was people. So join on the challenge. I'm looking forward. I'm seeing some people comment here. This is great. I'm looking forward to hearing as well. If you have stories along the way, you're going to follow this same link and you're going to share maybe screenshots or testimonials. Maybe you can share a video of this is what's changed. These are some of the responses that you've received. This is how your workplace is impacted. That same link to sign up, there'll also be an opportunity to share your story along the way. I look forward to seeing your impact grow, and I look forward to hearing the results as you set foot on this encouragement rampage. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the challenge.